Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to get started in just a minute. We're going to give some people just a minute to hop on. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Government Support for Small Business. We are coming to you live from around the region as a part of our ongoing webinar series hosted by the Atlanta Regional Commission. You can visit our website to find past webinars and to register for upcoming sessions. I will post a link to ARC's webinar library page in the chat box. So let's cover just a few housekeeping items before we jump into today's session. We've taken a screenshot of an example of the attendee control panel. You should see something that looks like this on your own computer desktop in the upper right-hand corner. All attendees have joined in listen-only mode, so you will be on mute during today's webinar. However, throughout the webinar, you will have the opportunity to submit questions or comments by typing your questions into the questions pane of the control panel. You may send in your questions at any time during the presentation. We will collect these and address them during the Q&A portion of the webinar at the end of the webinar. You will be able to see chat messages from us also in that in the chat window, which should be, I believe, below where the questions pane is. If you do click away to another application or browser during the webinar and you have trouble finding our meeting again, look for either the blue or orange flower petal icon in your ribbon bar. I think it's usually blue for people who are on Windows and orange for people who are on Macs. It should be at the bottom or side of your screen, or look in one of the open browser tabs. The orange arrow on the control panel for this software will collapse and open the control panel. And you can also move it to another part of your screen as desired. Today's meeting and all of ARC webinars series will be recorded through the GoToWebinar platform. This recording will be made available to all meeting attendees via a follow-up email and will be posted to ARC's website at that link that I did just share in the chat. So now I would like to turn it over to Carrie Stevens. Carrie received a Master of Arts degree from the Savannah College of Art and Design in Architectural History with a focus on historic preservation. She worked for Pond & Company, a consulting firm servicing local communities as well as cities such as Roswell, Atlanta, and most recently Avondale Estates, where she served as the assistant city manager. While at the City of Avondale Estates, Carrie focused on engaging the community to provide a solid planning foundation enabling implementation. The city is currently completing plans for a road diet along US 278, its main street, which has long been an impediment to downtown development. Subsequent to the City of Avondale Estates, Carrie worked at the division as the division director for real estates and records, where she led a team of real estate specialists to facilitate the acquisition of property for the implementation of county water, sewer, and park projects. Carrie is now a planning administrator with the Atlanta Regional Commission focused on economic development and comprehensive planning, and she will be our moderator for today's webinar. Carrie, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to you now.
Thank you so much, Olivia, and good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for joining. We have a great panel for you today, and I'm really excited to hear about all of the innovative programs, events, and ideas that all three of our panelists have been focusing on to assist local businesses and their communities during these hard times and to be resilient in the future. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera only because I'm having some internet issues, but I will give a bio for each one of our great panelists. First up, we have Danielle Hancock. Danielle Hancock is the Economic Development Coordinator for the City of Griffin. She joined the city in 2019 with a passion to build a brighter future and quality of life standard for the local community. Danielle recruits new businesses to the City of Griffin, upholds partnerships with downtown Griffin small business owners, coordinates for the Griffin Downtown Development Authority, and actively participates in the employee diversity and inclusion team for the city. While developing and managing events for downtown Griffin, she works hand in hand with the Griffin Downtown Council, Griffin Main Street Program, and the Griffin Spalding Chamber of Commerce. In April 2020, only 11 months into her position as coordinator, she was awarded the strongest link in the chain by the City of Griffin, achieving the city's highest employee award. Danielle is also a graduate of the 2019 Georgia Academy of Economic Development. Prior to joining the City of Griffin, Danielle worked for Chick-fil-A Incorporated as a marketing director for 14 years. She holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in marketing with a minor in business from Auburn University. As a resident of Griffin, Danielle enjoys being involved and having a vested interest in her community. She is married to Billy Hancock Jr., and together they are dedicated to raising their 3 children in a city that continues to develop and thrive. And again, thank you for participating. Second up, we have Michael Starling. Michael Starling is the Director of Economic Development for the City of Dunwoody. Michael has been in this position since 2010 and is responsible for leading the city's effort to expand the local economy through business development efforts. Priorities for the city include retention of existing businesses, recruitment of new firms, and the redevelopment of existing commercial areas. Michael is actively involved in the Dunwoody Convention and Visitors Bureau and Dunwoody Perimeter Chamber of Commerce. He is a graduate of the Leadership DeKalb 2007 and the Regional Leadership Institute 2009. Michael is a founding member of the Innovation Crescent Regional Partnership, a coalition of more than a dozen counties focused on growing the technology industry in Georgia. Prior to joining Dunwoody, Michael worked for DeKalb County as a business development manager for 6 years, and my agency, the Atlanta Regional Commission, as a senior program manager in the Governmental Services Division for nearly a decade. Michael earned a Bachelor of Science degree in economics from the University of South Florida. Michael is married to Denise Starling, and they have 1 child, Will, who attends Chamblee High School. They reside in Brookhaven. And thank you, Michael, for participating. And our last presenter, Chantel Wilson, will give us the county perspective. Chantel Wilson is the Economic Development Manager of Business Outreach for Gwinnett County Government Office of Economic Development. She is responsible for business outreach, retention, and expansion. Chantel works alongside businesses and industry to ensure their success in Gwinnett County community through eliminating barriers, providing access to tools and resources, and stronger relationships with county officials. Chantel began her economic development career with the Georgia Department of Economic Development. She then transitioned statewide to local economic development as a project manager for the Savannah Economic Development Authority. She was then promoted to the role of Assistant Director of Established Business and Manager of the Minority Recruitment. In February of 2015, Chantel joined Partnership Gwinnett as a Senior Project Manager of Advanced Manufacturing and Supply Chain. Chantel has assisted with the location of over 4,000 jobs and capital investment north of $250 million. Chantel graduated from Georgia Southern University with a Bachelor of Business Administration and Economic Development and holds a Master of Business Administration from Walden University. She is a member of the Georgia Economic Developers Association, International Economic Development Council, Gwinnett Young Professionals, International Council for Shopping Centers, and the Rotary Club of Gwinnett County. Chantel is a proud resident of Duluth, where she resides with her daughter, Abby. I want to thank all of our presenters again for participating. Looking really forward to your presentations, and I'll pass it on to Danielle.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Carrie. I'm honored to have the opportunity to participate in this panel and share what the City of Griffin did during 2020, specifically taking our in-person Second Saturday events and transitioning them into a virtual experience in order to invest in our small businesses during a time of need. I have a video that I wanted to share with you guys today that give you a better understanding of what I mean by a virtual experience. So Olivia, if you would go ahead and hit play, we'll enjoy the video.
We are live in downtown Griffin at Corner Cafe. Everybody's getting excited about Curbside Cafe, Curbside Corner Cafe.
Yes, sir, we are.
How many orders have y'all taken care of today?
Probably more than 100.
More than 100. Maybe you can be number 101, maybe 102.
I'm Lindsay Grubbs, and I own Jill Joseph Salon in downtown Griffin. I have a great team of stylists that work there with me. We just want to say thank you guys for your continued support during this time.
Oh my stars. Look who's here. Hey! We're coming to you live from the chicken house. Yeah, I got it.
Here we go.
Yeah,
All right.
we're 6 feet. Where's our measure?
Okay.
No, Jonathan called it a measure.
A measuring
Because of his
tape.
accent. Look,
All right.
we're doing it.
So,
we
We
made
might not be quite 6 foot,
Yeah.
but we're really close.
I'm Ashley. I'm with Franklin Roseberry Boutique, and I'm located in downtown Griffin. I have been there for about 7 years, and I'm just so grateful to be a part of this weekend and get to share with you guys some fun little looks and some fashion pieces.
Hi guys, we are live in downtown Griffin. We're about to start our concert. Thank you all for being socially distant and coming out.
Hey everybody, we are live. I hope we're live at Slice's Pizzeria. Trey and I are super excited and super nervous to do this live because Trey just said that we need to have chemistry. We got to be entertaining, so we're going to do our very, very best. Let's see, who else do we got? I see you, Darlene. Hey, love you. Much love, much love. Good to see you. And then we also got Laura Gallman. I see you. You love the cauliflower crust. Oh, I'm glad you said that.
All right, we're back now. I believe we're back. Are you with us? Something just happened.
Today we're going to be working on the bow tie pasta and turkey wrap. I learned from the best. You know, we got a bunch of good ingredients that go in here. We got heavy cream, you know, sun-dried tomatoes, Cajun, you know, chicken, noodles, all the good stuff.
It makes my heart sing to be downtown and to be a part of. I get emotional about it because I have a heart for Griffin, and Griffin's been very good to me. It's been good to my family through the years, and it's a great place to live and raise a family. You might want to cut that out.
Okay, so we'll try it again.
So, all right, let's try it this way.
I'm Danielle Hancock, and I work for Economic Development for the City of Griffin. So the pandemic hit we decided that we were not going to do anything. We were just going to lay low. But then business owners were scared. They didn't know how to continue. They didn't know what to do. So we decided that we were going to adjust our normal way of doing Second Saturdays and offer something pretty unique, because we had over 20,000 followers on our Facebook page and we've never utilized that. So we were able to create a Spring Fling Quarantine, a virtual experience at home to allow businesses to come into the home of our people in our community to offer their products, their services, show how to make different things that they could purchase and then take at home. It was a way to just have community during a time where we didn't know what was coming next, in order to support both our business owners, our people of our community, and offer a quality of life experience that we weren't able to offer before. That led into hosting virtual experiences that later became hybrid experiences where we went back in person. So overall, we were able to host 12 Second Saturday events, both virtual and in person. We hosted 9 drive-in summer concert series, and we partnered with City Church to host 6 movie experiences, both drive-in and drive-through, so they could take the movie home. Overall, in the city of Griffin, we hosted 34 events downtown, which was amazing when we went through a year that we didn't know what was coming next. And to be able to offer something for our community that created joy and happiness and an opportunity to just be normal, we felt like we were winning for our city.
All right. So I might be a little biased, but I think that was a great video. Of course, the little kid that had the candy bounce off his stomach and still miss the bucket was pretty cute. But you got to get a real snapshot of our business owners learning to use Facebook Live for the first time. You got some behind the scenes footage, some live footage that did include some bloopers from our volunteers. And of course, I added in some of my dance moves that I did not realize were captured, but overall, you got to see the heart of our small business owners and our community. So as we kind of dig a little deeper into this idea of Second Saturdays, we started 2020. We were able to accomplish the first 3 months of Second Saturday events before the shutdown happened. So in April, we had the approach with the intention of not continuing Second Saturdays, but we had Spring Fling as our originally planned theme, and we were going to be celebrating the first year of Second Saturday events altogether. So it was going to be a big deal and really my most favorite theme for the year. It was going to have AstroTurf on the streets for morning yoga, flower carts on the sidewalks, food trucks, live music, all of the things that you would think of when having a spring block party in the middle of the downtown. But with the pandemic in full swing and only 2 weeks prior to our April 2nd Saturday date, we decided that we had to bring that in-person experience to those at home in order to support our small businesses that were losing hope. So Spring Fling Quarantine was really birthed out of the idea to offer the normal Second Saturday experience, which was interacting and encouraging people to shop small businesses, showcasing specific products, dining downtown, and having live music. But we had to do all of that in a way where people didn't have to leave their home. So with 20,000 plus followers between the City of Griffin Facebook page and the Downtown Griffin Facebook page, the idea of hosting our Facebook takeover segments and promoting products and services online was created. Because we already knew, and y'all already knew, at the time of y'all sitting at home during the pandemic, people were scrolling through Facebook all day long or binge watching Netflix. So we came up with a similar idea that was more local and still allowed people to get on their Facebook page and feel like they were connecting to the world. But one thing you have to remember is that this month is me celebrating 2 years with the City of Griffin. So in the middle of the pandemic, I was only a part of the team for a year and a half. So approaching businesses that I didn't have a solid relationship with and asking them to trust me and my idea was really risky. Because some businesses I approached, I went to them with a very specific idea that would push them outside of their comfort zone and even potentially cost them money if it didn't work. but I approached it with confidence, even though I really had no idea if it was going to work. I live by the idea that if you are more confident, or the more confident you are, the more willing people will be on the other side to trust you to take a step. So that is exactly what happened with our business owners in our community. And as you saw on the video today, Polly Chapman, she's the owner of our local pizza joint here in Griffin, Slices Pizzeria. And I knew of Polly, but probably had only spoken to her a handful of times before approaching her with my idea. I saw on another community's Facebook page that a pizza place was offering a take-home pizza. So the dough, the toppings, all of the things, and they were taking it home to cook it. So if you learn anything from today, hear me say how important it is to go and like and follow different Facebook pages for downtowns, communities, Main Street groups, whatever, because you can see an idea and make it your own without having to reinvent the wheel. And that is exactly what I did, and just kind of added a little twist to it. So I took that idea of creating a take-home pizza kit and decided that hosting a live segment where families can make the kit in their own kitchen while getting to interact with the owner would be a cool experience and provide a way for the businesses to make money while also building a personal connection with people in their community. So Polly agreed, and she decided to make 50 kits because preparing the dough and having it ready and it not kind of expiring was a very difficult process for them. So she committed to 50, and 50 kits sold out before the day of the event. Over 200 people tuned in live to watch the segment, and within the first week of that segment, it reached over 4,000 viewers. Polly had people from our community and other communities calling her and asking if she was still offering the take-home kits, and they didn't even care to participate in another live segment. They just wanted to take the kit home and make it with their family. So she continued to offer those kits throughout the entire pandemic, and even now, if you want to, you can call and ask her and she will make you a kit. But the coolest thing about that experience is that another business in our community got the word of making a kit and decided to create her own kit, which was a take-home facial for Spa Angelique. So I agreed that we could host a facial segment for our virtual second Saturday because our goal was to offer as much variety as possible in order to hit all types of people and their interest. So Angelique sold over 100 kits, and she only did a 30-minute segment. And she continued to offer those kits to customers as a way to keep her business going. Angelique specifically told me that those kits were the only reason why she was able to stay in business during the pandemic. So that idea that I got from another community helped multiple businesses in Griffin throughout the pandemic. And we were also able to create other segments with business owners to help drive traffic to their websites, show services they offer, or just give the community something fun to watch. We had yoga in your living room. We had 5 summer trends that you could get out of your closet or shop online. We had art classes where you could purchase a kit or use supplies that you already had at home. We had the DIY stuff for those farmhouse people. We had 4 chords on a guitar. We had an event of how to make your favorite cocktail at home. We didn't leave anything out. We actually even included a unique tool, the Griffin To Go, which was created by our GIS department. That was an interactive map that showed you what downtown restaurants were open and offering curbside service during the time of the pandemic, which was very helpful for our community. Plus, we offered virtual events as a way to keep the community going with prizes and gift certificates. So there was a way to draw in people to get them to watch and participate while investing in our small businesses. This is where our Griffin Downtown Council really stepped in. They are a volunteer organization that supports downtown business owners. So they purchased an item or a gift card from every single downtown business in hopes to support the businesses and provide the community a way to get back to that business either during the pandemic or after the pandemic. So in the video, you saw 2 ladies who were quite funny and a little country at times, but they had a measuring tape out, making sure that they were 6 feet apart. Those ladies actually hosted our very first at-home scavenger hunt where you could get a clue. People would run around their house looking for an item, take a photo, send it to our Facebook page, and the fastest person to do so won a prize. This segment was the most fun, probably the fastest pace, was about an hour and 15 minutes long. We had 300 interactions within that 1 hour segment. And in that segment, we talked about every single business in downtown Griffin. And it was seen over 4,000 times in that one day. Crazy to me, but all in all, our very first virtual experience, Spring Clean Quarantine, provided us with over 100,000 views on Facebook. Now, we all know that in downtown Griffin and probably in your own community, nobody has 100,000 people walking around their streets for a second Saturday event. So the virtual experience really did open up this new way of communicating businesses in our community as well as outside of our community. So of course, we decided to continue hosting that second Saturday experience virtually, because who wouldn't? But that meant we had to teach business owners how to create a Facebook page, because some have never done that before. We had to go live with them and kind of give them some tips, because they had no clue that Facebook even had a live option. I had to become kind of like a TV producer, because it did take a lot of time to schedule out every business with a lineup that was going every 30 minutes all day long in order to keep people plugged in. But one thing that you need to understand is that it did not take fancy equipment or social media pros to make that virtual event happen. Some business owners were more seasoned because most of their business is done on social media, but others were not. But overall, who doesn't love a real live video with bloopers? So all you really needed was a cell phone with a full battery, because of course you run out of the battery while you're doing this. And you are golden. But for the City of Griffin, we were able to kind of go a step further and use our talented city engagement specialist, Brian Miller, to create some of the behind the scene videos that you saw of business owners telling their story and making signature products, so that we could use those clips for commercials throughout the event. But you don't have to have professional style videos in order to connect to people through social media. I mean, live bloopers make it fun, so just go with that if you need to. But overall, the success of Second Saturdays did allow us to move into a hybrid style event when we started hosting socially distant Second Saturdays. We offered both socially distant activities downtown and still had the virtual element that highlighted businesses and products during a time when we continued to see the growth in our social media numbers. And that led us to offering our drive-in summer concert series live on Facebook, as well as having people actually drive into the field. So we had people from all over Griffin, all over Georgia, and all other states tuning in to watch a live concert that lasted 2 hours or so, because they had already participated in a virtual Second Saturday months prior, which was very neat to see that. And you saw in the video where we partnered with City Church to offer 9 drive-in movie experiences, and where we were able to open our first downtown market that supported our local farmers, which continued for 6 months out of 2020. Plus, we got to host our annual Halloween event, just adding some really cool candy shoots that we found on a Pinterest page in order to be socially distant, and created a unique name, Quarantine-oween, that drew people in. So what I would say is my takeaway from 2020 is that virtual events opened the door to something new. They kept the door open so that communities could stay plugged in, and really help the transition back to in-person events go super smooth. It was as if nothing really happened when it came to the events. And because we didn't plan for the pandemic, because nobody really plans for that, we were able to take a tool that we already had and use it in a different way to kind of keep going, which was very beneficial to both our Economic Development Department, the City of Griffin, and our downtown businesses. And you really should know that all of this was possible by only 2 economic development staff members, myself and Patrick Kay, who you saw in the video multiple times, and probably about 5 consistent volunteers. So it didn't take an army to generate excitement or to make things happen in our community, so it wouldn't take an army in yours. So you really just need an idea and the confidence to see it through. So I would like to end today by encouraging you to take a leap of faith in your community and do something that you've always wanted to do, or maybe use an idea that you've seen today or you saw on someone else's Facebook page a while ago, but just be willing to do it and take that risk. And if you want more information on our virtual experience, you can go to Downtown Griffin's Facebook page, click the video tab, scroll all the way down, and you will see every video that we did, whether it was with a volunteer, a business owner, because we did months of virtual Second Saturday events, and you can watch them and laugh with them and enjoy them. Or I am always just an email or a phone call away, and I would be happy to help walk you through it or create one with you and just allow you to experience all that we got to experience in Griffin and see it grow for you as well. So thank you, Carrie and Olivia, for letting me share my pandemic experience for the city of Griffin, and I'm super excited to hear Michael as he talks about what happened in Dunwoody.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Carrie and Olivia, both for inviting me to be part of the program today. I think it's interesting. You've got Griffin that has a downtown, a true downtown. We're coming to Dunwoody, which we don't have a downtown, and that is one of our #1 economic development goals. So the program I'm going to talk to you about today helps our small businesses, but it also focuses on trying to create a sense of place in suburban commercial areas that are not downtowns. A little bit about Dunwoody: we're 49,000 plus population. We have 9.5 million square feet of office space. We have another 4.5 million square feet of retail and about 2,000 businesses. Oh, sorry. So we've got really sort of 3 parts of Dunwoody. The most of our land use, as you can see from this map, is single family, large lot, suburban style neighborhoods. That's what Dunwoody has always been. We also have 2 very different commercial areas. One is Perimeter Center, which is in purple. About 90% of our office space and our retail is located in Perimeter. Our other commercial areas are spread throughout the city. Unlike many suburban cities, we don't have a single major arterial with all of our commercial. We're lucky that we have small commercial areas spread pretty evenly throughout the city. So most of our communities have quick access to neighborhood commercial services. Sort of that 15-minute city concept. We're prepared for that. Unfortunately, unlike Perimeter Center, which is dynamic, growing, a lot of investment occurring there, our neighborhood commercial centers are just the opposite. In fact, they're stuck in a very 1970s era form. We have very low vacancy rates. Still to this day, we probably have less than 7% vacancy in our retail, and we have very high land costs. So there's very little economic need to change. So our commercial centers have not changed. They continue to offer mostly service and sort of transactional retail. So through our redevelopment programs, our #1 goal is to try to create a better sense of place in those areas. So as soon as the pandemic hit, a lot of us were talking about how do we help our small businesses, mostly around restaurants. And all of us hit on the same thing. We need to move outdoors. They couldn't serve inside, so let's allow them to move outside. We had to make a lot of changes to regulations. But we sort of landed on what else could the city do other than changing our ordinances. How could we actually participate? And what we sort of decided was, since redevelopment's our #1 economic development goal, why don't we find a way to do that? So we started looking around at ways that we could help property owners as well as businesses move operations outdoors. And at the same time this was going on, my wife, Denise, who runs Livable Buckhead, was working, actually physically building picnic tables in our garage at home to put in one of her parks that they have adopted in a Buckhead neighborhood. So as we were struggling, like, what can we do as a city? I sort of put that idea together with this picnic table idea and created sort of our own unique, much more scaled version of what Denise was doing. So what we did is we found businesses and we found commercial centers that were open to the idea of having these picnic tables located there. We purchased picnic tables. The majority of them were actually donated by Home Depot. They donated the first 24 picnic tables. We located people to put those picnic tables together. We reached out to nonprofit groups and community organizations and gave them a picnic table and said, please create a piece of art. Some hired artists, some found artists. Many of them, they actually did it themselves. Actually, this project is the police department had a work day and they created their own picnic table art. So we were doing this to help the businesses. We were doing it to help our property owners sort of rethink their place, that maybe these parking lots, maybe the common areas of these centers could become something different. What we found is the real benefit was a sense of community and connection, especially amongst our artist community. Dunwoody is fairly new to artists and art communities. We just finished our first master plan for art. So we didn't know the artists that were already in our community. So sort of the biggest benefit we got from this was making connections with our property owners, our businesses, our nonprofit neighborhood groups, as well as artists. So this program was so successful that later in the year, we actually received CARES grant money from DeKalb County. And we put aside a certain amount of that. This was the fall. So restaurants were getting very concerned about moving into winter. Were they going to lose the business that they had gained by moving outside? So we set up a matching grant fund, $150,000, to match 1-for-1 with local businesses who wanted to invest in heaters. Some people invested in tents. Some took over parking spaces that were allowed to. Some just used patios. And this really helped probably 24 of our businesses move operations outside. What we found through working through this, though, is that it limited the number of projects we could do. Many of our restaurants don't have space where they can move outside. So we have now moved to Alfresco 2.0, which is a program where we're now working with actual property owners in their centers. So we're going commercial center by commercial center, sitting down with the property owners and talking about, do they have space, either leftover parking or just common areas within their centers that could use updating. We have had significant interest in this project from businesses. We've got our first project in Dunwoody Village where we're partnering with a restaurateur. We're putting in money, the development authority is putting in money, and we're activating what once was a really dead center where most people didn't even know it existed. About 50% of the space in that courtyard was vacant, and now it's going to become really a community gathering place. We've also had businesses continue on their own, invest in their own picnic tables. I would say we probably have 50 picnic tables, 30 from the city and another 20 from community groups. People bought their own, put them out there, and they're doing the same kind of thing with art. So, I would say the program started out as helping restaurants specifically, but it really became a community rallying cry around art and placemaking within our commercial center. So we are happy to take questions after this. It's a very easy program to duplicate. So I would be happy to take questions. I think we've got time for questions at the end. Again, thank you for allowing me to be part of this. And I'm going to now hand it over to Chantel.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much to the ARC for having Gwinnett County government on today. I'm Chantel Wilson, Economic Development Manager. One second while I get my screen ready. Okay, Carrie, can you see my slide? Are we good to go?
I can see it.
Perfect. Thank you again. So with both of those presentations we saw from the cities, I really would like to launch my presentation by saying thank you to the 16 cities here in Gwinnett County. The cities do an amazing job at making sure that they take care of residents and business and industry, and making sure that they're flexible and nimble when necessary to make things happen. And during COVID, we watched them do some amazing things. And just as you saw in Dunwoody, as well as City of Griffin, those amazing things took place right here in Gwinnett County as well, across all the cities. And I just would like to say thank you to the cities for such a great time in helping to weather the storm during the height of the pandemic, as well as continuing as we try to recover. So thank you so much to the cities. So again, to the ARC, thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for the opportunity to speak today. We have been doing very well here in Gwinnett. What we saw during the height of COVID was the need to very quickly move to shift things to a virtual atmosphere. We did that across the board for both residents, businesses and industry, and we made sure that we kept those essential services in place such that we can continue to support those essential workers and businesses that needed to continue to thrive during the pandemic. The Office of Economic Development took a major role in helping to support the business industry. I figured I'd tell you a little bit about who the Office of Economic Development is, and as I tell you who we are, I will also talk to you about some of the things that we had to do to pivot during the pandemic. So the Office of Economic Development, if you're not familiar with us, was created in 2017. We report directly into the county administrator's office and spend a significant amount of time working with all internal departments to ensure that business and industry has a seamless experience here with Gwinnett County. So our 4 core focus areas are business outreach, small business and entrepreneurship, project management, and redevelopment. For business outreach, that's the area that I focus on. We also have 2 other economic development managers and a director who oversees this office. So I'll talk to you a little bit about all the different core focus areas. So business outreach, what we saw immediately was that a number of businesses were looking for direction and guidance as to what to do to quickly move their employees to a virtual atmosphere and to continue to be able to do business. And so we figured we would do the exact same thing. So we very quickly created a virtual a page and an online experience for business and industry to be able to gain access to key business and workforce resources. So we created an online portal for that. We also very quickly moved our meetings across multiple virtual platforms to be able to accommodate the business community. We took the necessary steps to work with key organizations in the community to make sure that we were partnering and collaborating with those organizations that support business, such as Partnership Gwinnett, which is our sales and marketing arm. Partnership Gwinnett has worked for the last 11, almost 12 years now here in the Gwinnett community doing a significant amount of work catering to our core target areas, working to recruit business and industry, helping to support those existing businesses. And during COVID, they were amazing. They stayed open a huge part of the time alongside the chamber. So we were able to rely on them to help us to ensure that key industries were moving forward, and we were able to make sure that those essential businesses got the support that they need. So with business outreach, one of the main things that we do is, again, making sure that we're providing access to key businesses and businesses and workforce resources. We also do one-on-one meetings with economic development staff and our internal partners and allies, for instance, planning and development, and Department of Water Resources. So if there was a business that was switching their services or products due to COVID and the pandemic and needing to quarantine, we were able to put one-stop meetings in place for those businesses to be able to manage their projects and help them to meet deadlines. There were a number of businesses that switched over to manufacturing masks, gloves, hand sanitizers, and things of that nature. And so there were federal standards, regulations, and things that were coming down that we had to be mindful of, such that we can relax our standards and allow those businesses an opportunity to produce and deliver to those essential entities and organizations that were relying very heavily on those supplies. Supporting relocations and expansions. There were companies that were still making moves and expanding during the pandemic, and with certain aspects of county government moving to a virtual platform, it was necessary for us to work with them more closely to make sure, again, that key things were happening and moving forward. And so being able to support a company, again, that was changing products, switching over to a different service, we were able to do that seamlessly. There were also companies that had to make a number of changes to accommodate space. So we were able to work with planning and development to be able to quickly get into those places or to look at plans, have those things submitted online, and give those companies the necessary approvals that they needed to get their space ready such that they could protect their employees and those employees could protect their families. Opportunities to engage with county officials and key partners. All of our networking and programming, we moved over to virtual platforms. For those of you who have joined us for Coffee and Conversation in the past, you know that that was once an in-person event that we had to move to virtual. To date, we have probably hosted almost 2,100 individuals, both in person and across our virtual platforms with Coffee and Conversation. We do everything from bringing you the latest and greatest with Gwinnett County government to bringing key partners and allies to the table to keep you abreast of the latest and greatest with their organizations as well. So in the past, we've hosted everyone from Goodwill, Dr. Arona with the health department, United Way, Georgia Center for Opportunity, the SBA, the SBDC, and we've also hosted a number of county officials who have been able to answer questions for businesses, as well as to keep residents as well as businesses abreast of the latest with what's going on with Gwinnett County government and how are we moving forward and how we can support. On the small business and entrepreneurship side, of course, we had to very quickly step up our efforts. The gentleman pictured here is Mark Farmer. Mark has worked in the small business world for quite some time. His role on the team for the last 18 to 24 months has been working very heavily on creating our Entrepreneur Center. So that's something that during COVID, while it was delayed due to a number of things, it's a project that continued to move forward in the planning and preparing for the opening launch. So Mark has spent a significant amount of time, and I really would like to jump straight over to that project because it's one of the big things that we're working on right now, and truly is our contribution, one of our many contributions to the small business community. So the Entrepreneur Center will focus on two things: education and incubation. We will have everything from classes, workshops, mentoring, and peer learning opportunities on the education side of the house. With incubation, That's our opportunity to provide space both for resident businesses as well as co-working and some office space. We have recently partnered with GGC to manage this center for us. They have hired a manager, Stephanie Sakinis. Stephanie was formerly with the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce and has a wealth of experience in small business and entrepreneurship. So she is recently on board at the center and will be helping us to move that initiative forward. Now, the center is located in downtown Lawrenceville, near the Lawrenceville Square, and is just 2 miles from GGC. We are expecting to open the center soon. We are still working to overcome a few challenges from COVID, but we are planning to open the center soon. If you're interested in the center or to learn more about how the center was created, please go to GwinnettEntrepreneurCenter.com. If you have additional questions, you can go to gec@GwinnettCounty.com. Project management and redevelopment. So the last 2 core focus areas actually work together. So I'll talk to you very quickly about the business development side of this. So Roman Dakari, who's the director of our office, spends a significant amount of time working on projects to ensure that not only we're making sure that we're communicating the potential of the Gwinnett market, but making sure that we're providing the level and quality of service that helps to make those decisions easy. Roman has worked with the Gwinnett Place Mall, as well as the Exchange at Gwinnett, where we have a new location with Topgolf and Andretti's. There's also the Stone Mountain Tennis Center project that has been moving forward during COVID, working with Fuqua Development. And then, of course, there's Rowan, the big research and innovation project that's underway here in Gwinnett. All of those projects we were able to continue to move on, either through construction, permitting, and helping those folks to move those projects forward. We have a number of things in the pipeline right now that we've continued to work on during COVID, and we've been able to do all of that by our wonderful planning and development team, who has worked very hard to ensure that we have a number of things online to make it easy for plans to be submitted, such that you get your feedback very quickly. You can quickly answer questions. We also have new office space within the Office of Economic Development and Planning and Development, which was underway during COVID. All of those changes, of course, were to make your experience with Gwinnett County easier. So now, where you would go to the first floor for a number of things, come right on up to the 3rd floor, and we're happy to see you. That's where the Office of Economic Development is located, as well as Planning and Development. So you can get a number of services at one counter now, as well as do a number of things online, and it makes it easier for businesses to get things submitted and to get the feedback that they're looking for. On the redevelopment side of the house, we spend a significant amount of time working with those who are looking for sites, which area to locate a project in, and we're really pushing redevelopment. We would love to see some smart growth happen within the community. We've got a number of communities that are looking for new amenities, that are truly looking to be vibrantly connected. So we're taking the time now to identify those redevelopment opportunities, and are working with the development community to ensure that they know where those areas are, and partnering with them on those projects as well. So additional efforts by Gwinnett County and the Office of Economic Development through COVID. As I mentioned, we moved a number of our resources and support online, and made sure that the virtual experience was one that got you what you needed, be it workforce needs, looking for resources for your employees, trying to figure out where to find masks or hand sanitizers. Those were a number of things that we were able to very quickly identify who was the best place to get those things, as well as Gwinnett-based firms that were able to provide those. Virtual networking events and programs, again, we moved those things online, made it much easier for us to communicate with both businesses as well as residents. Distribution of CARES funding. We spent several months understanding the needs of Gwinnett residents as well as the business community before we distributed funds. Just to give you a feel for what we were able to distribute, Gwinnett County distributed $25,944,000 to 1,811 Gwinnett-based small businesses during the pandemic. We currently are preparing for a second round of funding. We are not sure right now what that will be, but we have done a community-wide needs assessment such that we understand where the needs are today, such that we identify the best place to allocate those funds, as well as looking at the new regulations that have been released recently by the Treasury Department. So you can be on the lookout for additional funding that's coming from Gwinnett County. Those funds in the past were grants as well as loans. I'm hoping we'll be able to do that again in this next round of funding. But if you're interested in learning more about that, please send me an email and I'll make sure I get your question answered. Key partnerships and collaborations. In order to support our business community, we knew we needed to work with those folks who are dealing with businesses every single day across multiple capacities. Gwinnett Cares, amazing group. That is a plethora of people who both work in business and industry, as well as general residents who simply care about Gwinnetians. Gwinnett Cares is Gwinnett's COVID relief and recovery agency. We provided support to Gwinnett Cares to be able to care for employees and their employers and their employees. One of the things that we learned during COVID as one of the biggest concerns, I fielded calls from employers who were concerned about their employees, people who have worked with them for years, whom they were not sure how they would be able to pay if those employees would be able to stay in their homes. They knew the children of their employees. And so these are folks who have worked with them for years, and they wanted to be able to continue to care for them, as well as help them to keep their family safe. And Gwinnett Cares was a huge part of helping us to do that, and they continue to be. So GwinnettCares.org, I believe, is the link for them. Look them up. If your employee or employees have a need for something, please reach out to Gwinnett Cares. They have all things from support with rental assistance to food insecurities, utilities assistance. Please reach out to them. Your organizations are only as good as your employees, and I know we all know that, so please reach out if you have a need. The Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce, of course, worked very closely with them alongside the SBA and the SBDC to be able to make sure that we kept folks abreast of the latest and greatest with those organizations, as well as funding, resources, and opportunities with those different groups. Minority business support, just to speak very quickly on that, we embarked upon an effort to better support minority businesses. We are preparing in the fall of this year to do a disparity study. We're expecting that project's going to take us 18 to 24 months from start to end. That will include stakeholder meetings, community input, as well as final recommendations that time period. We're also looking to create a special task force that will help us to get the word out about this and to better understand challenges that minority businesses face, such that any recommendations we make help to meet those challenges or overcome those. We also are planning to put together programming for the next 12 months that will focus very carefully on opportunities and resources for minority-owned businesses. Project Reset 2.0 is Gwinnett County's emergency rental assistance program. This program is one that has been beneficial in us being able to help those who cannot pay their rent, have struggled to meet their utilities. So if you know someone who needs support, please have them reach out. Project Reset 2.0. If you Google that on GwinnettCounty.com, you can find that. The direct link is gcga.us/project. Our next event for Coffee and Conversation, this is a virtual event that I've been speaking about, is on Thursday. May 20th at 11 o'clock. It is the Minority Business Resource Tour. We have guest panelists from SBDC's Minority Business Division, as well as HNTB. They'll be talking about GDOT's Mobile Mobility Investment Program, as well as Gwinnett County DBE will be in the room, and the Hispanic Construction Association. So if you are a minority-owned business, you have minority-owned businesses in your community that are looking for resources and opportunities, this is the beginning of a series. So we'll be doing these over the next few quarters to ensure that we're bringing you the latest and greatest in minority business resources. Very quickly, how we can help: access to key resources. We provide support for company expansions and redevelopment projects. We're also here to support the small business community. So if you know someone who is starting a business in Gwinnett, they need support, we're happy to help. If our center is not able to help you, my colleague, Mark Farmer, very well connected in the small business community and can get you connected with which center best meet your needs, as we have those that are specific to innovation, and other things, and so he will be able to help you. Opportunities to engage with county staff. By all means, if you would like to get involved with Coffee and Conversation, to receive the invites, as well as other information that we share about business resources, please send me an email. I would love to meet you, or feel free to go to GwinnettEntrepreneurCenter.com and put your email address in and click the things that you're interested in, and we'll make sure that you get the latest and greatest with the Entrepreneur Center, as well as Coffee and Conversation and any events that our partners and allies may be hosting. That's my contact information. I'm sure we'll have a follow-up email where you can get this information as well, but I am happy to answer any questions, and we'll stick around for Q&A.
Well, thank you so much to all of our amazing panelists for participating and bringing your vast knowledge and experience to our webinar today. That was a lot, even during a normal year, so congratulations to everybody. An amazing amount of just different types of projects, ideas, and really just thinking out of the box to make sure that you could help your small businesses in your community. So we have now time for some questions, and you can put those in the chat. I also have a lot of questions for everyone because I got so much out of all the presentations. So hopefully we can get to everyone's questions. If we don't, then we can follow up. You can follow up with me, and I can follow up with the panelists, or you can follow up with the panelists and get your questions answered. But I do have one first question. It's for Chantel. Are there any funding options, for nonprofit senior care in your organization?
Yes, so some of the funding that we had through Gwinnett Cares, and again, we're preparing for our next round. We had grants as well as loans, and for the grants, some of those went to nonprofit organizations. So yes, so please feel free to reach out to me or go to GwinnettCounty.com for additional information, and we'll get you connected.
Thank you, Chantel. I think a question that I have is in general with the hybrid work that people have been doing. I know you've been doing the Coffees and Conversation with the hybrid, and also Danielle was talking about their events that have been virtual and somewhat hybrid. And I'm sure Michael has been doing some virtual work as well. Do you think, and this is for all the panelists, and we can start with Chantel since I see her on the screen, if you're going to continue doing those virtually, or if you're going to try to do a hybrid model, or how you think you'll be continuing once we start coming out of COVID?
So while we have not received direct word on when we'll be going back to doing in-person events, we are working towards having a hybrid model just in case we don't get the green light we're looking for. Because what we found is that a number of businesses have moved to virtual, and they plan to stay that way. And so we're looking to be able to still create opportunities for those who need to still meet with us, still engage with us, because I think we've learned a lot, as Danielle said, about what's happening in the atmosphere. So a lot of people are still virtual, and they still need that option to do so. So I think we'll do both in the interim.
Great, thank you. And I'll pass it on to Danielle.
Yeah, so for the city of Griffin, we will maintain doing hybrid and we'll probably from here on out continue because for us, it opened up a new avenue. We were able to gain so much more of a view of people from outside of Griffin and in Griffin that could connect with our small businesses and can connect with us. So it was a win overall, and I think it's an easy tool to continue to use as we move forward, both in-person events or just virtual events, as if we have to ever go back to that. But we'll continue with hybrid because it's a pretty simple tool to use.
And I might do a follow-up with you, Danielle. Is there any technology that you think could assist you a bit further? I know you said you're using fairly simple technology, but just for people out there, if there's something that's on your wish list that you think could help you out a good bit?
You know, we actually are Rustic Lantern downtown. It's a business. She does the majority of her business through social media. So Patrick actually went and kind of watched how she does it. And, you know, she just used a cell phone and one of those big ring lights, and that's all she did. And she makes a ton of money selling on Facebook, doing lives every night. So it really doesn't require anything but a cell phone, which I think that's what's the coolest part about all of it is people can connect through social media, very simple. And on our end, I think we're going to look into getting in other social media outlets. We're very prominent in Facebook, but we are growing in Instagram and Snapchat and all of those other areas so that we can kind of hit all demographics and all age types.
That's awesome. And Michael, do you are you going to continue with virtual, and what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we don't offer many programs virtually, but social media we have taken off. We do videos, especially for our ribbon cuttings and sort of celebrating businesses when they open. We've been very fortunate, and I've been sort of amazed at the entrepreneurial spirit. We've had half a dozen restaurants open during COVID. It was shocking to me that entrepreneurs have that kind of passion. So it's great to see. So yeah, we use social a lot, and we've sort of moved to video. I think that is definitely the way of the future. So yeah, we will keep that, and hopefully we can get some changes at the legislature to allow Zoom meetings to continue. We have regular. I manage the Development Authority, and we've had 100% attendance since we've gone to Zoom. It is a really convenient way to do business, and it is so much more open because citizens can stay at home, they can listen, and when they're done, they can turn it off. Coming to meetings in person is very difficult. So that's just an aside.
No, that's a great point. And I've heard from a lot of local governments that they do get so much more participation in their Zoom meetings, and it sometimes makes people feel more comfortable because they're not face to face with others as well. So, so that's awesome. I have one more question in the chat for Chantel. Is Gwinnett Cares for businesses outside Gwinnett as well, as or just a Gwinnett organization?
It's a Gwinnett organization, but they do have some resources that would be for regional as well. But more than happy, if someone with a question wants to reach out to me, I'd be more than happy to get them connected or to ask a question of Gwinnett Cares. Happy to do it.
Thank you. I think one thing that's come out from all of your presentations is really that during COVID, and I think even before, a hands-on approach for all of your communities is necessary. And you have to figure out what your communities need and really work with them to make sure that you can make sure that they're successful. Moving forward, what have you heard from your different businesses about what type of assistance that they need coming out of COVID, and what type of programs, events, anything like that they're interested in the cities and counties pursuing? So I'll go ahead and let Michael start, since we started with others last time.
Yes, you know, cash is still the top request, and we've given away. We were very fortunate, worked very closely with DeKalb County, and DeKalb shared their CARES money with all of the cities. Dunwoody got a little over $5 million. We've given out $2 million so far to businesses in our small business grant program, and we're going to do at least another $500,000, if not another $1 million, this summer. So that's still a concern for a lot of people. You know, business is coming back, but it is absolutely not back yet. So that's number one. And then just right now, it's a very difficult time about who's open, what are the rules. You know, early on, there was a lot of people who went out of their way, I know I did, to go to restaurants, local restaurants, order, pick up. That's sort of slowed down a little bit. And so there's still a need for people to go out to their local businesses. And you know what I say, if you want that business there tomorrow, you better go now, because some of them, we've been fortunate, we've not seen a lot of businesses go under, but that's still certainly a possibility.
As we were talking about earlier, I was muted even after all that time. I'll let Danielle go next.
Yeah, so for the City of Griffin and relating it back to Second Saturday events, our small business owners really need help with allowing entertainment to come in, any type of entertainment. I mean, that's what really draws people out. So live music, we've had in the past a fire blower, we've had stilt walkers, but our small business owners can't afford to have that right now. So one of the things that our Main Street program was able to have at the start of this year and create for our business owners was an entertainment grant. We were able to offer this grant to our small business owners specifically for Second Saturday, where they can request some funds in order to help supplement the invoice that they would receive from a live musician or a live artist or something like that, which ultimately brings more people out to their business, makes our event overall a great event to attend because you have different things happening at different times and in different locations, and it allows our Main Street program to give back to our businesses in a way that really is beneficial for them.
Thank you, Danielle. Chantel?
Yes, I think the biggest concerns we have, like Michael said, is cash. They're looking for, you know, opportunities to learn about funding and to be able to invest those monies back into their business. The second challenge that we have heard a lot about are workforce challenges and being able to find people to come back to work for various reasons. And so we've done a number of things to work with Gwinnett Cares and all the many different workforce partners in that space to create virtual job fairs, drive-through job fairs, and anything that we can do to help drum up support for the business community as they're looking for talent to open their doors. We've also done things to help find childcare and to help with the financial burden of that. That's one of the other things that Gwinnett Cares does really well, is working with childcare agencies and understanding their needs such that we can help them to help employers. If there's any other challenge that I've heard of, it is about employers being concerned about their employees. Food insecurities, being able to cover their living cost. And I can assure you there are some business owners who truly care about their employees. I get emotional just talking about it because I listened at the height of COVID and I knew what that fear was like. And so to see some of those businesses come out on the other side of this and to be operational has just been wonderful to see. But I think those are the biggest concerns are funding mechanisms to be able to expand their space, to be able to bring employees back and to train them. And again, to just be able to find employees.
Yeah, we've all heard that challenge. We have a question in the chat, and it's specifically to Michael, but to all. Did you lose any businesses in your community last year, and about how many?
You know, we didn't. We did lose a few restaurants. It's harder for us to track office. We have, you know, one of the things that happened during COVID is all of our larger business office tenants in perimeter work from home. So we have a part-time retention manager, and most of her focus has always been on those larger businesses. Well, they went home, so we shifted, which has been one of the positive things for us. shifted to our smaller businesses, the mom and pops in the commercial neighborhoods. We don't believe we have lost many. Certainly, we think some did. I think one of the great things that has come out of COVID, obviously it's been very difficult, but the amount of resources that came from the federal government, I think stabilized the economy, and it allowed people to get through this. And I think that there still might be some problems moving forward, because a business, if you didn't make money last month, you can't go back and make that up, right? That is lost revenue. But I don't think we've lost very many. We are very interested in seeing, once our larger businesses come back to the office, which they're starting to trickle in now, and we think September is probably when the majority of them will be back. See what impact it's been on the office market.
Thank you, Michael. Dan.
Yeah, so in the city of Griffin, we actually didn't lose any businesses due to COVID. We did have one business that was in the heart of our downtown that the business owners retired. A lot of that is because we had an investor that came in and made them a great offer for their space to create 2 new businesses, and they felt like it was time for them to kind of go back and work on their farm. One of the great things about our downtown right now is we actually saw 38 new businesses during the pandemic, which blows my mind. And in the video that you saw that I ran today, the axe throwing at the very end, that guy and his partner, which was in the kind of in the background of the video, they went to an axe throwing place in a different community, and they don't live here in Griffin. It happened in January, and what they wanted to do was open up a business immediately, and they chose Griffin because they love the environment. So they went to an axe throwing company in January, and in April they opened their doors in Griffin, and it has been a huge success. So I think that is really cool to see that even through a pandemic, people are positive and wanting to open businesses, and they have been successful doing so.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Chantel?
Yes, that's awesome, Danielle and Michael both, because I know it's been challenging for the business community. So to hear that favorable news, very exciting. In Gwinnett, of course, we did have some businesses that closed, some restaurants and some retailers. While we watched a number of businesses within the restaurant and hospitality industry, they were very flexible. They very quickly moved to outdoor seating, to go orders, all those many different things that needed to be done. But as you know, those things come with a cost. And so there were some businesses that just were not able to sustain, or they were in a location that relied very heavily on traffic of another business that was now in a work from home type operation. And so we did see some of that, but just as many businesses that we saw closed, we saw someone open. And so with people being at home with additional time on their hands, they've been able to hone their skills, and they're now ready to turn that into a business venture, and we're here to help them. So we've been instrumental in working with those folks who want to start a business, those who want to invest in their business. And so we did lose some, but we've also done a number of openings and ribbon cuttings as well.
Yeah, that sounds positive on all fronts during such a hard time. Chantel, I'm really excited about your Entrepreneur Center. Just wanted to say that's a super exciting thing for the whole community, and excited to see it to get open. We're getting ready to wrap up already. Just wanted to say on a positive note, what was your biggest surprise coming out of COVID and all the things you had to deal with to keep the businesses going and to help your communities? I'll let people jump in as they'd like.
So I won't say this was a surprise, but it definitely was one of the most flattering things that I saw. I've been in economic development for quite some time. We won't get into dates, but it's been a little while. And I've worked in a number of communities, and for Georgia to have 159 counties, what I can say about Gwinnett County is that when it's time to come together, this community comes together. And so I watched organizations collaborate. I saw residents do things to give back and to love on their neighbor. I saw parents helped to teach children of those who were essential workers. And so some of the love and support that I saw in the community, I saw our brand and our tagline come to life, vibrantly connected. And that's what we are, it's what we do. And I would say that's one of the most exciting things I saw come out of the pandemic.
Great.
Yeah, I think from my standpoint, it's that entrepreneurial spirit that the people, even at sort of the depth of the pandemic and the closings, you know, we still had people who were willing to invest. They had a dream. They had a plan, and they were willing to open restaurants during this time. I'd also say I at this time last year, I would have thought the toll on our businesses would have been much greater, that the retailers would have we'd have lost many more of them. You know, Perimeter Mall is in Dunwoody. You know, 8 million square feet of office space went dark, or at least gray. You know, there were very few people there, and that's their lifeblood. And to have really not a single large retailer leave is very surprising to me, and I think it's fantastic to see.
Yeah, and I would agree. Kind of going back to what I said, having 38 new businesses open during a pandemic year is a big surprise. And for me to even see the number of 34 events we still had during a pandemic is a big surprise. So in a lot of ways, I think overall, having our community be willing to keep going, even when we had to make changes and had to adjust, made me feel very confident in our future. And I'm excited to see where we are going to go and how much more we're going to grow due to the things that we were able to kind of change and make happen during a year that people were expecting nothing to happen.
Exactly. And I think that's a testament to all of you on this panel and all of your teams, because I know it takes a whole team, even if it's a smaller team, to get a lot of these things done. So thank you again so much, panelists, for participating. Lots of great programs, projects, ideas. Thank you to all of our participants for coming. We really appreciate that. And thank you to Olivia, Haas, for running the technical aspect of the webinar. So I want to say thank you again, and everyone have a great day.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Bye.
Thanks so much for everyone for attending our webinar today. A recording of the webinar will be available online by the end of the week. I've added the website into our chat box where you can go ahead and view past webinars as well as register for upcoming webinars. The video recording of this webinar will be available there. And on behalf of the Atlanta Regional Commission and our presenters, thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope that you have a great day.